Shalom from Israel, I'm Ariel Ben Avram. This week we read Parshat Eikev. Usually the word Eikev is translated as reward. Let's read a little bit about this first verse of the portion. It's chapter 7 of Devarim, of Deuteronomy, verse 12. It says, "This shall be the reward when you hearken to these ordinances," meaning the commandments of the Torah, "and you will observe and perform them." So it's like this when, is like when you, it's like some kind of conditional actually. It's like if you. Now we have to be careful about the wording of this particular verse because it implies conditionality. It's a condition. I will give you this reward if you do this. We have to go beyond that. But you may argue, you say, well, it says that in Hebrew, it says that in the translations. So like, if you do this, or you shall do this, then this will be the reward. So it's kind of some kind of remind us the behavioral, the theory of behaviorism, in psychology. Like we create a stimulus in order to get a response, and then we get something back after the response. Like the animals, that we give them food if they do the things that we want them to do, especially dolphins. But in this case, it's not like that. Why? God is telling us that the ordinances, the Torah, His will for us to perform, to fulfill in the material world, is about goodness. So the reward in this case is the blessing itself. In other words, doing God's ordinances and commandments is the blessing. And then the reward for the blessing is the blessing itself. Now, let's try to understand this with an example. Let's say that we have the opportunity to do something good for another person, like help somebody cross the street, something minimal. But the idea here is to get the point that the good action, in this case, the commandments, because the commandments are about doing something good or abstaining ourselves to do something negative. It's good to explain a little bit this because we have in the Hebrew Bible, the Torah in particular, we have 248 positive commandments, and we explained that what positive means. And then we have 365 negative commandments for a total of 613. Now, the positive commandments are things that we do because they're good. So we perform them because it's about something good that is going to be good to us. Okay? We love our neighbor as ourselves. We keep Shabbat, for instance. We do goodness and loving kindness to others. It's part of loving our neighbor. And then we have the negative one that say, do not kill, do not steal, do not covet. Okay. For instance, establishing course of justice, that's a good mitzvah. It's a positive one. Something that we do positive for a positive purpose, for a positive end. Okay, so we have this division. So in this case, actually, he's referring about the positive ones. Also about the negative, but the issue here is by abstaining ourselves from doing something negative, such as killing or stealing, for instance, or coveting, we're doing something good. Why? Because we're avoiding something negative. The fact that we are avoiding something negative is good. It's good. Somewhere in the Talmud, one of our sages say the following. It's like the minimum, the least that we should do it's not, and pay attention to this because it could be tricky and misleading. But so don't let yourself be misled by what it is, which is. We don't ask you to do anything good. Of course, we expect people to do good things, obviously, but let's take it literally. We don't ask you to do something good. You don't have to help an old lady or an old man cross the street or give him the seat in the bus for them to sit. Okay, we don't ask you to do that, but don't do anything negative. If you don't do anything negative, like stealing, lying, negative things, we're fine. Really. It's like you don't have to strive yourself to do something good, but don't do anything bad. This is good enough. If you abstain of doing anything negative, you do good enough. So this is very interesting because it's food for thought. It's like idleness, like doing nothing is okay. Yeah, as long as you're not doing anything negative, it's fine. Don't do anything. Now, if you have the chance, obviously, if you have the chance to do something good, you do it. It's evident. No? You have the opportunity to do something good that will make you feel happy, satisfied with yourself. You do it. And actually, it's a mitzvah, it's a commandment, it's an obligation. We're supposed to do good things. But what the sages are trying, or this sage in particular, is trying to tell us about, hey, don't do anything good, but don't in the same way don't do anything bad. Just by staying quiet and doing nothing, it's good enough. Why? They want to emphasize in the fact that we should not focus our attention or our interest in life in negative things. It's like it's preferable idleness than doing something negative. It's like doing something negative is not to keep ourselves doing something active, dynamic, or anything like that. No. It will break the balance in our consciousness and in our surroundings. It's very important. This is not enough to think good or be neutral. It is our obligation to think positively for our own consciousness' sake and for the sake of our environment. It's like we come to a place with a positive attitude, a positive approach. It's very good. It's very good. Opposite to bringing a negative attitude with negative thinking and negative saying, talking, and doing. So the whole point here is to focus on the goodness. So when we're talking about this commandment, what God is telling us, don't do negative things, do positive things, and this is the blessing. This is the reward. So what we wanted to say earlier is like the opportunity to do something good. It's a great opportunity. Like, I can do this good thing. It's the reward itself. Why? When we fulfill the good action, we feel blessed. We're enjoying the blessing of the opportunity of doing it. So it's like, this is the context when we write in the blog that good or love, positive things, but in this case, goodness and love, is its own cause and effect. So it's like when we're thinking good and we're doing something good, the effect is good. Cannot be bad. Obviously not. It's an axiom. It's a self-evident truth. It is. So in this case, this shall be the reward if you hearken, or when you hearken to these ordinances, maybe like attach yourself to them. So it's not telling you that you do them. You just attach yourself to them. Meaning, attach yourself to goodness. Then you will get the blessings. So attach to the blessing of goodness and you will get goodness as a result. That's what this means. So it's not necessarily if you do this, you're going to get this. Yes, actually, in one level of understanding, it is. As we do with our kids, with our children. If you do this good thing, I will get you this good thing too. So they know that this is a reward for doing goodness. But this is a primary level, like child level. We need to go beyond the goodness, the reward. We have to go for the cause of the reward. What is causing this blessing that I will get a blessing? And again, the bottom line here is goodness. Now, let's read a little bit about the rewards. God, He said, will love you, bless you, and multiply you. And He will bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your land, your grain, your wine, and your oil, the offspring of your cattle, and the flocks of your sheep and goats, and the land, second mentioning of the land, that He swore to your forefathers to give you. Continue the blessings, the reward. You will be the most blessed of all peoples, all the peoples. There will be no infertile male or infertile female among you or among your animals. Hashem, God, will remove from you every illness and all the bad maladies of Egypt that you knew. Talking about the plagues. He will not put them upon you, but you will put them upon your foes, upon your enemies. You will devour all the peoples that Hashem, your God, will deliver to your enemies. Your eye shall not pity them. You shall not worship idols. First reference to idolatry in the portion. That's several. Like in last week's Va'et Hanan, with 7 total. This time we didn't count them, but there are more than 3 or 4. You shall not worship their gods, for it is a snare, a trap for you. Now, God will love us. It's like God doesn't love us if we don't fulfill His commandments. But again, the context here is that He will multiply you. It's like God is unconditional in the way He supports us. We have air. We have nature. He's sustaining us already. He loves you, giving us daily sustenance. We know that. But this is extra. This He will love you, He will multiply you. This is extra. That means that if we have infertile male or females among us, it's like, this is basically what He's giving us. Why? It's not extra. We still have infertile women among us. To meaning we are not fulfilling His ordinances. Otherwise it would be Hasbe Shalom, lying. It's not. So He's asking, attached to goodness, and I will multiply your goodness. That's what He's saying here. That's what it means. In other words, He's not saying, I'm going to give you goodness for goodness. No. I'm going to give you, the reward's going to be that I multiply the goodness that you're going to have in everything you do. We don't know if it's 100-fold or 1,000-fold, but it's going to be more. Plenty more. So this is about, let's say what we wrote here. Yeah, this is about the blessings coming out of the blessing of doing goodness. So that's basically the first section that we read on the Torah. Now, this verse 17, it's like a turn of ideas here. It says the following: perhaps, maybe, you will say in your heart, these nations, our enemies, are more numerous than I. How will I be able to drive them out? It's very interesting. Moses is addressing the children of Israel. Suddenly, he's talking in plural and then switches to singular. Talking about you. Wow. I may say that I may not overcome them because they're more numerous than I. There's a reason for this. It's very clear. Very clear. We have our own personal individual struggles against the nations. So we're not talking about nations as peoples, numerous people, that we have to fight individually. Now, again, if I am in the singular talking about fighting lots of peoples, how could I be able to overcome them? If I'm alone, I'm only me, I'm only one person. So this is an invitation. That's why this book is so important, the Deuteronomy. Because it's about our purpose in life, our mission as individuals and as people, as Israel. So we have to pay close attention to this portion of the Torah. I mean, this book of the Torah, this last book of the Torah, is essential for us, for our Jewish identity. So, talking about our individual struggles, He will be for us. And let's continue reading because it explains about this. It says, do not fear them. Don't be afraid of them. You shall remember that Hashem your God, what Hashem your God did to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to all of Egypt. Imagine what God did to them. The great tests that your eyes saw, and the signs, the wonders, the strong hand, and the outstretched arm with which Hashem your God took you out. So shall Hashem your God do to all the peoples before whom you fear. Now we jump a little bit later to verse 21. It says, you shall not be broken before them. Fear. Afraid. For Hashem your God is among you, a great and awesome God. So we have to speak. Actually, we referred that in last week parasha when we were talking about the greatness of God. So now that you have shown me your greatness, and your strong hand. So again, he's saying, he's talking about God's awesomeness and greatness. It's like God, the creator of all, is with you. Who could be against? As King David mentioned in one of his Psalms, if you are with me, who could be against? It's evident. So, but what we wanted to remark was this following verse, 22nd verse, 22. It says, Hashem your God will will crush these nations from before you, will defeat them. He say little by little. It's interesting because why God needs to do things little by little. We just sweep them out. Wow. Wipe them out. End of the story. No, it had to be little by little. Why can't we learn by little? When our fathers, our parents say, hey, little by little, lead, slowly. It cannot be done faster. I mean, not that God cannot do it, it's us. So usually when they ask us to slow down, it's a learning process. It has to be done in a particular way. Slow down. Little by little. Let's continue reading. You will not be able. It's God. I mean, Moses is telling us, but it's God who is behind. He said, you will not be able to annihilate, to eliminate them quickly, lest the beasts of the field increase against you. Hashem your God will deliver them before you. So we're talking about that getting rid. This is very, very important. Actually, we take some notes here, which we don't need actually. The lesson that we're learning from this little by little, and that we're not able to annihilate them, to eliminate them fast. We're talking about the negative aspects of the nation, the negative traits and trends in consciousness. We cannot get rid of that easily, quickly. We have to do it little by little. And we need God for this, by the way. We can be strong-willed, We're going to do this cold turkey, like, I don't want anything negative in my life. No negative thoughts, no negative feelings, no negative emotions, no negative speech, no negative actions, nothing. Nothing negative. Cold turkey, that's it. From now on, goodness, 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 goodness. We wish it could be done that way. Really? Imagine that we get rid of everything negative in our consciousness. Wow. We get enlightenment, as some Oriental beliefs say or teach. So you get enlightenment. Like the Buddha get enlightenment. That's why you finally get to the realization that everything is perfect, that everything is good. It's not easy. Usually it's easier for them when they isolate themselves. I'm talking about the Oriental. We don't want to mention by name these beliefs. It's like you really have to isolate yourself. Go to an ashram, like these monasteries, away from the material world. Some people go to caves in order to realize this enlightenment individually. Now the Torah, we're talking about the oral Torah, our sages, Hassal, they say, doesn't work that way. You have to create this balance. You have to find out this balance, this realization of goodness in the real world, with people, dealing with the daily, day-to-day reality, material reality every day. In other words, we have to infuse enlightenment, light, goodness to every aspect, dimension of life. That's the way it is. So it's not by isolating ourselves in mountain and caves and ashrams and monasteries, that kind of thing. It doesn't work that way, according to Judaism. Now, you're free to believe. I mean, if you enjoy yourself meditating 2-3 hours or 8 hours a day in your own room, in the quietness of your solitude, that nobody's bothering you or altering your emotions, feelings, or anything like that, your thoughts, that's your choice. But think about it. You're isolating yourself from the people who gave you life, the people who fed you and expect something from you in return. Not as a debt that we have to pay. It's called reciprocity. It's like I'm giving you something, you just give back as a natural process, not necessarily as an imposition. This is the same idea of the reward. It's like by choosing the blessing, then we have blessings as a result, actually multiplied blessings. So it's a good deal, a good business. Being in the business of blessings. Like, hey, we're going to do goodness because we're going to get triple, 100, 1,000-fold goodness back. by just being close, attached to God. Because attaching to God's commandment means attaching ourselves to Him. That's what it means, by the way. So the whole point about doing goodness is about being close to God, to our Creator, so we know Him. So we know what is His idea, what is His plan for the material world, for life. Then it would be easier, like, to get rid of everything negative in 1 second. The Torah is telling you it doesn't work that way. It's here. We just read it. It's little by little. And we are not going to be able to eliminate them fast. It's a process. And we know that it's true. We know this. We see in the way we educate our children, teach them not to do evil, not to do bad things, negative emotions, negative thinking, hysterias, and that kind of things. Unnecessary. So what for? Oh, they have the little egos controlling their lives since they are born until they get older. Suppose that that's true. Does that mean that we're not going to curb that predicament? Of course we have to. And we educate them. So look, just play this way. Share what you have. Share the toy. Have fun by sharing. Don't be so selfish. It's more fun when we share what we have, what we have. We get to a level in which I have all this, I'm not able to share it with anybody. It's like, what is worth for? Or everything, the things that I have learned, what's the point if I cannot share this with anybody? That's what we do in this, by the way. The blog, the videos. We want to share this. So it's not about looking for followers or anything like that. Especially, we don't believe in that. We're followers of God. We're followers of the Torah. And we want people to get the point, so they would become followers of the same thing. So we're trying to understand this in a deeper level. A level in which we really realize that performing the blessings, the ordinances, the commandments is the cause and its own effect. That's the idea behind. So again, this is a learning process that the Torah is telling us that it doesn't work quick. You have to be little by little. Why? Because our negative trends in consciousness are probably stronger than our positive ones. Otherwise, just look around in the world. We see more negative situations than positive ones. If something positive happens, it goes viral because it's unusual. I mean, positive things that are creating positive results. Like this this song by I think that is Pharrell Williams. This rapper, singer, musician from the United States. Pretty young. He's his 20s. The name of the song is Happy. It's an extremely beautiful song that everybody likes because everybody wants to be happy. Really. So it's like the first time that one listens to that song, like, I like that song. No matter what it's saying, it's just the music, the rhythm. It's about being good. It's about goodness. It's about being happy. So then, looking in YouTube about him, then we saw this video of this interview with Oprah Winfrey. So Oprah had a surprise for him. He said, I want to show you something that is viral, in YouTube and in the internet. It's like most countries of the world, are doing their own video, their own feeling, their own interpretation, their own enjoyment of the song. So Fernell, he has a video of his own song, but people start doing the same thing of his video. He like expressing the happiness in the Czech Republic, in Germany, in Holland, in Malaysia, everywhere in the world. And then this man was looking at the video and started crying. It's like, I didn't know that it was to create such a good reaction all over the world. This is it. He was saying, like, I did this song, it was, a nice song, but I didn't imagine the effect that this was going to have on people. It's like you see one single blessing multiplied millionsfold. It's such a blessing then, being happy. Just planting a seed as a song with a video, with all his heart in a very simple way, simple words. Just believe in being happy. That's it. That's the bottom line. Believe in being happy. Believe in happiness. And then everybody, millions of people are doing it. This is really switching, making such a turn in human consciousness. A single song. Yeah, a single song also. One man, one person. It's so multiplied, there's such an avalanche of goodness, of happiness all over the place. We want to be happy. He knows that. That's what he's telling us. Just be happy then. In your own way. So everybody's dancing the song in their own way. Somebody jumping, somebody doing ballet, pirouettes. People are making these movements. But the effect, the reward of the blessing is so abundant. Everybody's happy. We want to hear that song all the time. This is a good analogy, taking this simple song to illustrate what is said here in the Torah of this portion. The message of this portion in the Torah. That's what it's all about. And it's interesting how easy we can get rid of negative thinking, negative thoughts, just by the wish, by the desire of being happy. This guy had the desire that no matter what, I'm going to be happy. I will be happy. I'm happy. Happy. That's it. That's all it takes. Making the choice. A simple choice. However, the Torah is telling us, just defeating the nations, the negative thinking, the negative beliefs, the negative habits, the negative addiction, attachments, obsessions. They're not really to get rid of. We know that. Then we have to ask for his help. How do we do that? Do my ordinances, do goodness. Then, leat, little by little, you will get rid of the negative things. And actually, we remarked this, that here in the notes that we're taking, that this is a message regarding the Messianic era. This is about final redemption. We finally will defeat everything negative within and outside of us. Okay, we continue here. We go to verse 725. It said a second warning against idolatry. It said that there's several here in this portion. Then again, number 5 in the notes is like in the order of the portion. It's talking about the goodness of the land again. It's talking about the goodness of the land. Again, everything is related to the land. This happens in the land. We mentioned the land in the last portion. By Elhanan referring to the goodness of it, the good land, the good mountain, our connection with God. This is about connecting with God, by the way. We have said that the word mitzvah, commandment, means connection. And offering, the offerings that we bring to the temple, one of them is korban, mean to get close to Him, to God. It is about closeness, it's about connection. Now we continue here there's another warning against idolatry, and then there's another warning. This is repeated because last week's portion it was said. Pay attention to the repetitions here. When the Torah is telling you no idolatry, and in this case, be aware, the second warning regarding this, be aware of the abundance that you're going to get in the land when you do goodness. Because at one point you're going to stop. So Moses is warning us. It's like when you have such abundance, 1,000 million-fold of goodness, you're going to stop. It's like, so much good that I have. Let's take a little evil for a change. There is so much good that we're going to forget about that. We're going to lose the focus. And then we're going to fall again in idolatry. Putting our focus in something different than good. And we have to be careful there. Okay, then, again, after this warning against haughtiness because of the abundance, the next thing that is mentioned is rebelliousness. Rebellion is like, don't rebel. Part of the same idea. The moment that we quit in our looking forward for goodness, it's a kind of rebellion. I'm rebelling against goodness. I want some bad for change. As if goodness would be boring. Excuse me? You should look around how many people in the world have nothing. The statistics are shaking. We have to give thanks for what we have. So it's like in the superabundance that we may get by doing goodness, and we stop. It's like we want to live in the misery of other people. Excuse me? What kind of thought, emotions, feelings, beliefs, ideas are we inviting in our consciousness to sabotage the goodness that we already have in abundance? Like, doesn't make sense though. But it's a warning here. Why? It happened. It happened. Actually, it was a prophecy of Moses. This will happen to you. It happened. There was a moment when we were settling in the land and we said, let's get some idols for elsewhere for a change. And then the kingdom was divided. The northern kingdom, the kingdom of Israel, and the southern kingdom, the kingdom of Judah. And the northern kingdom was basically separated, rebelled, the rebellious ones. They decided to do idolatry. After having so much abundance during Shlomo HaMelech, Solomon kingship. Suddenly, what for? Let's get something bad for a change. Excuse me? So be aware. Now, then, chapter 11, verse 1, there's a commandment. Again, a repetition of a commandment. Love God. Love God. So what is the meaning of that? So love all the goodness, love all the blessing. That's the way we love Him, as we mentioned last week. Again, there are many things repeated here, and this is a purpose to remind us, to make us aware, to compel us, to force us in some way to assimilate what is behind all this, what is behind goodness. Then there's another reference in chapter 11, verse 8 on the goodness of the land. And again, at the end, we rather look for it because it's important to read it. The mentioning of the second part of the Shema, of the Kiryat Shema. Shema Israel, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Listen, O Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord is one. So the second part of the Shema, we must read it. It's about, again, loving God for the second time, the second mentioning in this portion. Before that, before we enter the Torah has a paragraph relating about the virtues, the greatness of the land, the goodness of the land, that we hope that you read at home, because the idea is that you read every paragraph, every verse of the portion of the week, because especially, again, we insist, this is very important, the last book of the Torah. Why? It's about our purpose. It's about our identity in terms of the purpose of our identity, our mission in life. So what it's about. So there's a lot of warnings, a lot of admonitions, a lot of counseling, a lot of advice in order to maintain, sustain, exalt this identity, this purpose, this mission. So it goes there. The second passage of Shema is saying, it will be that if you hearken, if you attach yourself to my commandments, says God, that I commanded you today to love, actually Moses, God through Moses, to love Hashem your God and to serve Him with all your heart and with all your soul, then I shall provide rain for your land in its proper time, the early and the late rains, that you may gather in your grain, your wine, and your oil. I shall provide grass. This part I really like a lot because it's very meaningful. It says, I shall provide grass in your field for your cattle. Pay attention. I shall provide grass in your field for your cattle. Then the part that I like. And you will eat and you will satisfy. This is interesting. Talking about grass for the cattle. Grass in the field for the cattle. So the immediate assumption is that the one that is going to eat is the cattle. Grass in your field for the cattle. But then it doesn't say the cattle. And you will eat and you will satiate yourself. So let's try to get the deeper inner meanings about this. First, I will give you rain, the early and the late. Sustenance. The sustenance in terms of abundance. In other words, if we don't have rain, we're not going to have abundance. We may survive, but not with plenitude, with plentiness, with abundance. So we'll have abundance if we love God and we attach to His commandments. And we will collect, we will harvest our wheat, our corn, our wine, and our oil. These three things are very deep. This is about sustenance in a particular way. Wheat has to do with eating, with the bread. Wheat is related to bread. It's related to physical sustenance. Then the wine, which is related to joy. So it's not going to be just abundant. We're going to be happy in our abundance. A lot of people have abundance, but they're not happy. So let's be aware of that. Some people are not happy with what they have. No matter how much they have in abundance, they're not happy. We see it around, that these people should be happy with what they have. They have so much, it's just be happy. That people have less or have nothing and they're happy. It's like, how come that these people have so much and they're not happy? So here is the combination of the three. We still have to get to the oil, but again, the wine, happiness. So you will be happy in your abundance. And will make you happy in your abundance. You will enjoy it. And then I will give you oil. So we have to say many times that oil represents knowledge. That's why oil is necessary to light up the candles, the menorah. Why? Because that's the light, that's the enlightenment that we need. That's the enlightenment of the Torah, the knowledge of God is the oil. That's why the Mashiach, the Jewish Mashiach, is the anointed one. Yeah, it means that they put oil in the face or in the body, whatever, it means literally, yes. But there's a deeper meaning there. It's like he's anointed. He's enlightenment. You have the oil of light, the oil with which you light up the lamps. See, like we're going to have knowledge, an enlightenment about knowing. So it's not enough to be in abundance, to have abundance of survival, physical survival. Be happy with it. But we have the knowledge, we have the awareness, the enlightenment. That's what he's giving us. So let's not take this literally. Yeah, it means literally we're going to have a bunch of olive oils, every season with the rains, and amazing wine, and abundantly in grains. Yeah. But there's something deeper than that. Let's talk about happiness, let's talk about abundance, let's talk about enlightenment. We become anointed. Since the oil is not just the fact of having the oil, it's to be anointed with it. To make it part of our awareness, part of our consciousness. Okay, then the other part that we want it to be is like, I will give grass in your field for your cattle. What is the cattle? So animal, the animal, especially kosher animals, we're talking about sheep, we're talking about bulls, we're talking about cows, we're talking about goats, that's cattle in general. We have to understand those in two ways. Part of our consciousness is like our material aspects of life. It's meat. And also things what we do in our basic survival, like working, and the animal work in the fields. We also work in the field of life. So there's a connection here between the cattle as part of our material life. The materiality has to be something material. Animals are not spiritual, they're animals, they're material. We humans are spiritual. That's why we will eat, we, not the animals. We will eat and we will be satiated. He's going to give grass for our cattle, for our materiality, our physicality, the physical strength, the vigor, the vitality. That's our animal aspect. So yes, we're talking about a driving force. What makes us to mate, what makes us move on physically. That makes us satisfied physically. We will have that in abundance. So our animal aspect will be satisfied. We'll eat and we'll get satisfied. And all of this out of goodness. This is what we will harvest, what we will collect from goodness, from loving God, following His ordinances and commandments. That's the blessing that we were mentioned from the beginning. That's the reward. This is the reward. But again, doing it is the reward itself, but the effect is multiplied. That's the good news about goodness. In the context of this parasha, in the context of the Torah. Meaning that if it is not good, we're going to collect anything good. Of course not. We'll be subtract, will be diminished. We will lose. We're not going to gain anything tenfold, hundredfold, nothing. So let's pay attention and try to understand goodness versus evil as the one that adds goodness and the one that subtracts evil. So it's like when we put our negative traits and trends in consciousness, emotion, we're not going to get anything back. We're going to get less than what we had before. So we had peace of mind before becoming evil, doing an evil thinking, evil emotion, and evil speech, and evil doings. Whatever we had later, we're going to be less from what we had before. We're going to have depression, we're going to have frustration, disappointments, sadness, even depression. People get depressed after, drained physically, will be weak. I don't have energy for this, I'm too tired. Why? I've been arguing with this person. I'm tired, I'm completely exhausted. That wouldn't have happened if the goodness was the cause and the effect. Remember this good action that we wanted to do. It's like we're so happy after we do it. It's like, wow, I'm happy. I'm feeling good, better. More good in this term. Not better, but I'm more good. I have more good than before doing the mitzvah, the good action. It's like we feel nurtured. It's like, wow, doing this good action made me feel so good, so revitalized. That's what it's about. Okay, so with this we end this week's commentary of Parashat Eikev. We wish you an abundantly blessed week. Like really, really the kind of reward that we're talking about here. To make all this message the reward, the blessing, in order to collect the plentyfold, thousandfold blessings. So we wish you Shabbat Shalom, and until next week.